No tanks rolled through the streets, no generals on television, no suspended constitution. Yet this past Saturday, Ivorians watched their democracy die in broad daylight. An 83-year-old man who promised to step down didn't, and the world said nothing. This is how power refuses to let go, how France's shadow still moves across Africa, and how the new coup doesn't need bullets but lawyers and patience. In 2020, Alassane Ouattara stood before the Ivorian people and promised he wouldn't seek another term. The country exhaled. Finally, after decades of strongman politics and civil war, a peaceful transition. Then he changed his mind, not because of crisis, not because of public demand, because his lawyers found a loophole. In 2016, Côte d'Ivoire adopted a new constitution. Ouattara's legal team argued this reset the term count. His first 2 terms under the old constitution, they claimed those didn't count. You write new rules, then you pretend the old game never happened. When he announced his 3rd term bid in 2020, 85 people were unalived in the violence. But 2020 was just the rehearsal. This past weekend was the real performance. Before I show you how this election was rigged, before any single ballot was cast, ask yourself, can you name a country where a president changed the constitution to stay in power and things got better for the ordinary people? Neither can I. And Côte d'Ivoire is following a playbook that was written decades ago in Paris. How can you guarantee victory in an election? Simple. Eliminate the competition before anyone votes. Laurent Gbagbo, former president, barred due to an old ICC conviction. Tidjane Thiam, former CEO of Credit Suisse, disqualified over dual citizenship. Charles Blé Goudé, excluded on technical grounds. Every serious challenger gone, not through campaign or debate, through lawyers and constitutional counsel that answer to one man. Now imagine playing football where the referee is your cousin. Every time the other team gets close to scoring, he calls offside, technically following the rules, but everyone knows the game is fixed. Ivorians saw through it, so they burnt ballot boxes, refused to participate in what they called a constitutional masquerade. The government responded. 44,000 security forces deployed, over 700 arrested, 2-month protest ban. You see, democracy didn't really collapse. It was strangled by men in suits, while the world looked the other way. But why? Why no international outcry, no sanctions, no emergency summits? The answer? France. Françafrique, that's what this system is called. When France granted independence in the 1960s, it kept the power but changed the branding. Defense pact guaranteeing French military protection, but only for presidents who played ball. The CFA franc tying 14 African economies to Paris. Secret networks funneling money between African dictators and French politicians. There is a Wolof saying, the hand that gives is always higher than the hand that receives. France gave just enough to keep African leaders dependent, never enough to be free. Omar Bongo, 42 years in power, French troops saved him from coups and the angry population. Paul Biya, Cameroon, 43 years, France provides the arms. Idriss Déby, Chad, 30 years in power, French jets pushed back rebels. You notice the pattern? January 2025, France withdrew troops from Côte d'Ivoire. Macron declared the era of France interference is over. power doesn't need soldiers when it has banks and boardrooms. French companies still dominate Ivorian ports, cocoa telecommunications. The CFA franc still gives Paris veto power over West African monetary policy. So when Ouattara disqualified opponents, banned protest, deployed 44,000 troops, what did France say? Nothing. Because authoritarian stability serves French interests better than democratic uncertainty. Now, Côte d'Ivoire isn't an exception, it's the rule. In Cameroon, the main opposition leader was barred Maurice Kamto for taking part in elections. In Uganda, Museveni, after making 40 years in power, he removed age limits. Now, pay attention. 14 African countries weakened them limits since 2010. 14. The average tenure is 26 years versus 5 years where limits hold. An entire generation born, raised, reaching adulthood under the same president. So when citizens of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger supported military takeovers to end all this, ECOWAS imposed crushing sanctions, border closures, asset freezes. So who is ECOWAS? ECOWAS is still headed by these presidents who never want to leave power. When the sovereign people of each country team up, group up, and struggle to bring change, ECOWAS threatens with sanctions. The same ECOWAS that said nothing when presidents rewrote constitutions. There is a Bambara proverb: when the crocodile eats its own eggs, it's not because it's hungry. ECOWAS wasn't defending democracy, it was defending the club. When presidents change the constitution to stay forever, the world calls it stability. When people change presidents by force, the world calls it a coup. Now, let's be clear about what we are watching. This isn't about one old man refusing to step down. This is a 60-year-old system that rewards loyalty to foreign powers over accountability to citizens. France wants predictable leaders who won't nationalize resources. The IMF wants stable investment environments that prioritize debt repayment. ECOWAS leaders want presidents that protect their own ability to manipulate power. But there is a crack in this system, and it's getting wider. In Abidjan, young Ivorians are refusing to accept this. Half the country is under 25. The man claiming to represent them is 83 years old. They are burning ballot boxes, flooding social media with #NoFourthTerm, rejecting the lie that stability requires surrendering your voice. In the Sahel, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger expelled French forces, formed the Alliance of Sahel States, challenging the Françafrique model. You see, military juntas aren't the answer. They have brought censorship, extended transitions, insecurity. But the anger driving them is real. There is an Akan proverb: the ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. For too long, Africans accepted presidents for life as the normal. That acceptance is dying. So here is what Côte d'Ivoire teaches us. The modern coup doesn't announce itself with gunfire. It arrives in legal briefs and constitutional amendments. It speaks the language of democracy while guarding its substance. And the powers that once colonized Africa learned: you don't need soldiers to control a continent, you just need the right presidents. But here is the truth that keeps dictators awake. Systems built on denying popular will eventually collapse. Not peacefully, not predictably, but inevitably. Algeria's Bouteflika tried for a 5th term in 2019. Millions took to the streets. He fell within weeks. Senegal's Macky Sall tried postponing elections in 2024. Protest forced him to back down. Power that refuses to circulate eventually ruptures. Ouattara may have won this election, but look at his legacy. A divided country, youth who see democracy as theater, streets ready to erupt. Africa stands at crossroads. One path, endless cycles of strongman rule, interrupted by violence. And the thing is, most Africans don't really hate long terms. What they actually hate is that most long-term presidents don't feel the need to be accountable to the people, because they know the people's votes don't really mean, since they control the electoral system. The other genuine accountability, real democracy, leaders who know when to step down. The question isn't which path is right, it's which path Africa's youth will choose, and whether the world will support that choice or once again side with stability over justice, because silence from the powerful always serve the powerful. So here's what I want you to do. Look up your own country's constitution. Check the term limits. See if they have been changed or if there is talk of changing them. Because this pattern isn't unique to Africa. Russia did it. Venezuela did it. China did it. You see, democracy dies when good people assume someone else is protecting it. Who's next? Which country is one constitutional amendment away from a president for life? Drop your predictions in the comments. Let's build a map of where democracy is most vulnerable. And if you found this valuable, don't just subscribe. Share it with someone who still thinks elections alone guarantee democracy. Because the greatest trick autocrats ever pulled was convincing the world that legality equals legitimacy. Don't fall for it. Until next time, stay sharp. This is Alassane Ouattara on The Strategic Lens. Bye.